All right, I got a 5-minute update here. Last time I posted last time I posted was a little while ago, maybe 3 or 4 days ago, and I was posting that I was stopping chemo. I was thinking about stopping chemo. I hadn't actually decided. So I pretty much decided, and I let my nurse know, and my doctor knows by now, although I haven't actually had an appointment with him, but I will, I think in a couple of weeks. So once I made the decision, the better and better and better I feel about it. Sorry, I don't think I've talked to a human being in a few days. I'm a little out of practice. It's been a lot of, listening to, I'm reading a really good book right now called Anti-Cancer. It's the revised version. It came out years ago, but there's a newer version that came out with some updated information. And that was like exactly the book I needed at exactly the right time to confirm that I actually have made the right decision. It was a really, really tough decision because I was going against the recommendation, and I'll get some pushback from my doctor for sure, but I have no doubt in my mind now that for my own personal health, where my health is at, how I personally believe that the cancer was able to manifest in my body, and what I as an individual need as treatment, that chemo is counterproductive. It would shrink the cancer, but the mental and emotional psychological component, the history I have with PTSD, and some nervous system regulation dysfunction that I've had over the years. Chemo brought all of that stuff to light. I mean, it was like a full trigger, full trigger. And I mentioned in my video a few days ago that I'm not a suicidal person. I've had my moments in the past, but generally it's not. I have so much more will to live than I do not. It's not even on the same scale. And chemo is bringing up a really profound sense of powerlessness and fear, and not fear of the cancer, fear of chemo, fear of being incapacitated, fear of long-lasting symptoms, fear of not being able to work, fear of running out of savings and not having security, and having it totally wipe me out. Where the cancer actually is not doing that. I've way in the past I've talked about it's not exactly clear how much cancer is actually on board, and so getting back to it, for me, and I would not advise this for everyone, this is a personal journey that you have to do your own research, you have to look at your own situation, you have to educate yourself in your own way. Every single person is different. For me, chemo is not going to work. I already know radiation's not, no, and I'm not anti-chemo and I'm not anti-radiation, but for me, because I deeply believe that deep emotional issues, PTSD, caused my cancer. Allowed my, I don't want to say, it was like fertilizer, perfect fertilizer for the cancer that I have, whatever, if it's still there or not. So my emotional health, in my journey with cancer, my emotional health, and I've 1000% 100% believe this with all of every ounce of my being. My emotional health is actually more important than my physical health when it comes to healing this cancer. And I think that comes back to, when I reference cancer, my treatment and all of that stuff, I reference it as not how do I heal cancer, but how is cancer healing me? And so I've taken that perspective this entire time. And so it's not about getting rid of the cancer, it's about healing the emotional dysregulation that I've been living with for so long. Like, that needs to change. If that doesn't change, even if I beat the cancer this time around, I truly believe it will come back. And I think that has some component as to why it comes back for some people and not for others. Even though cancer is a physical condition, it's very real. Very, very real. For me, it has brought to light really, really important changes that need to be made in my life, in myself, on a mental, psychological, and emotional level, and especially emotions. And, there's doctors out there that ignore the research, but the research is all there. You can find many, many books on it, and these books all, usually almost always done by researchers, or they're done by doctors. These authors have put years and years of thorough research into their books, not to mention all of the, researchers that are out there in the field studying cancer and looking at why some people survive it and some people don't, and trying to figure that out. And a lot of times they think it's going to be a physical or physiological or biological component that determines survival or not. And more researchers are finding that survival often depends on the emotional state, your attitude, your outlook, willingness to change, willingness to change in every level, not just physically with your diet. Even if you just did that, that's huge. But if you can get to the bottom and sort of pull out some old beliefs, some old fears of abandonment is a big component, helplessness is a big component to cancer survival, which is interesting because the very pointed emotion that comes out, that I've noticed that comes out having cancer, has been feeling powerless and feeling fearful. And yeah, and I think I've done a pretty good job of keeping my attitude in the right place and pushing forward and doing what I need to do. But then there became a point where I was sort of whipping myself into forcing myself to suffer through this chemo that I just knew with every bit of my being was not helping, was counterproductive. I couldn't prove it, I didn't know it yet, I just felt it. And I felt it in the changes that it made in me psychologically and emotionally, and that was super, super tough to come back from. But today, I woke up and I feel like myself again. And I'm very thankful. All right, that's all I got.